Right, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Warren Team Talk. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And tonight we've got a very, very special show for you. We've got four absolute legendary Irish football fans with us, and they're all going to be discussing and debating who should make the greatest ever all-time combined international team for the whole of Ireland. So for the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick a starting 11, 5 substitutes, and a manager. So it should be great fun, very interesting, and hopefully no one gets badly mauled in the debates, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, okay, guys, so I'm going to just start off by looking at the goalkeepers. So here's some of the goalkeepers that you might want to think about. We've got Shay Given. He got 134 caps for the Republic. Pat Jennings got 119 caps for Northern Ireland. Great Arsenal and Tottenham goalkeeper, of course. Mike, I don't know if I'm saying this right. Mike Taylor.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Mike Taylor.
Northern Ireland. Got 88 caps for them. Packy Bonner got 81 caps. Legendary Celtic goalkeeper. Darren Randolph, 50 caps for the Republic. Alan Kelly Sr. I've never ever heard of this chap, I have to be honest. But he looked, in the stats, he looked like he played a lot of games and he managed to get 47 caps. Then there was Roy Carroll. He got 45 caps for Northern Ireland. And Man United keeper in his day. And yeah, so that's it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw it over to you to talk about who you think should be the goalkeeper in the starting 11 for this team. So, Niall, given that it's your first time on my channel, I'm going to let you get going and start it off. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, like many of the decisions we have to make tonight on this team, the biggest one for me was when I looked at this was I looked at, first of all, do you look at their career and the number of caps and all that they made and that kind of thing, and then you look at the impact they had on the international scene and the moments that they created. And I toyed between Packy Bonner and Shay Given. And believe it or not, and this will probably shock a few people, I went with Shay. I went with Shay Given. I think over time, the number of caps he had, he had more caps than Packy. He also played in teams that I would say weren't as good as the teams that sat in front of Packy Bonner. And I think he was an exceptional keeper, Shay Given. So Shay was the one that I put into my side.
Okay, thank you. Del Boy, what's your thoughts about it?
Yeah, well, I suppose I have I'd have a top 3 there, I suppose toward I don't know, because he played for Arsenal, Pat Jennings, I'd have to give it to him as well. Top class keeper. Back in the day when football was, you had to be tough as anything, and especially goalies as well. Those elbows flying in at them and everything like that. And Pat Jennings done a great job for Arsenal, done a great job for Northern Ireland as well. He'd be my third choice. Unlike Niall, I think the Civil War is going to start here now fairly quickly. But I'd have Shay Given in number 2. I love Shay. He's a lovely fella off the field, his interviews he gives and a lot of charity work he does as well. But I suppose, I don't know if it's because 1990 is just huge to me. It still is. I love watching all the games and the World Cup sort of, YouTube videos and all stuff like that. But Packy Bonner cemented it the day he saved Tomofte's penalty for me. And that, Packy, I just loved him. I loved him at Celtic as well and watching him. And he's a gentleman at the sport. And he went on to coach as well for the international team as well. For me, look, very close with Shay Given. I love the two of them, but I'd go for Packy just for the memories that he gave me, and I was only young when I started watching football, and that's the foundation for me is when Packy saved that penalty against Romania for me. And I suppose an honorary mention as well to George Hamilton when he when Packy saved it and he just goes, "Yep," it was just real. I love that. So big up, George.
Okay, thanks, Del Boy. And Kyle, what's your thoughts, mate?
My thoughts is very simple, Warren. You asked a simple question. You said to pick the greatest 11 that ever played for Ireland in their positions. So that's exactly what I did. So yes, Packy Bonner, like Del Boy, like Niall, Del Boy, Packy Bonner gave me great memories, especially the World Cup 1990. Who would ever forget that? But it's very simple, Warren. The greatest goalkeeper that ever played for the nation is Pat Jennings. So I'm putting Pat Jennings in my goal with Shay Given as a number 2.
Okay. All right. No problem, mate.
Fucking sellout.
This could end up being a tag team match tonight, I reckon.
It could happen, Niall.
Manny, what's your thoughts?
Well, it seems as though we have a 3-way tie for the position of the greatest All-Ireland goalkeeper, so I'm going to break my tie. First of all, with all due respect to Packy Bonner, yes, he did provide some terrific memories, and he also continued his love affair with Ireland by being the goalkeeping coach for the 2002 Ireland team, working once again with Mick McCarthy and Niall Quinn and Steve Staunton. And certainly, it was his save from Timofta which epitomised the spirit of the Irish team, how they were, in some ways unheralded, perhaps. But I take a look at when I take a look at the goalkeepers, I have to take a look at their entire career in a microcosm. And so Packy would be my number 2. He'd be on the bench. I mean, and the best part about it is that you could definitely bring him on for penalties in case the number 1 breaks a finger. So that segues to my number 1. Who else would it be but, a goalkeeper who basically during his heyday was the greatest goalkeeper in the world, who was in a team which did have a proud footballing history in some respects, but had a few barren years, and also continued to play exceptional football at the top level, making over 1,000 appearances. And when you consider that his World Cup appearances in 82 and 86 were, at the back end of his career, where the best years of his career were gone, and the performances he was still capable of putting in, you just wonder if Northern Ireland had the good fortune of being able to qualify earlier, you can see that he would have relished the occasion then, and certainly he would have enjoyed it then. But in 1982 and 86, especially in that 1982 Classic against Spain at the Mestalla Stadium in Valencia, he was at his best. It was a clean sheet. Probably didn't have too many big saves to make, but there was an important moment where he was able to sort of push the ball over a Spanish attacker's head and then go around him to catch it. And he got some stick for that afterwards because a few people said that it might have been risky, but he knew what he was doing, he said later, because if he had caught it, he could have been barged into by this fellow who was rushing into him. And because the referee for that match was a Spanish-speaking referee who was unwilling to punish any Spanish foul play, he wasn't going to depend on the referee. So he took a gamble, and it worked. At his best, he was simply unplayable. Of course, it might be blasphemy to consider making a Tottenham legend our number 1, but he did also play for Arsenal and was very unlucky not to win some silverware with us. And just how good he was epitomised by the fact that even after retiring from club football in 85, he went back to Tottenham, played all the way through the reserves, didn't play any first-team games, but kept himself sharp because that's how highly he was rated by Billy Bingham. And he was even briefly on the books at Everton as goalkeeping cover for Bobby Mims in the 1986 FA Cup final. And just when you take a look at just how great he was and how great he continued to be, even to the back end of his career, there is no, and just what a colossus he was for his country. For me, it has to be Patrick Anthony Jennings, OBE. He would be my number 1.
Okay, thank you, Manny. So by virtue of the fact that he's got more votes than anyone else, he gets the goalkeeping position. And someone help me out. And who we putting on the bench for the goalkeeper?
Shea Given.
Yeah, I had Packy and I had Pat Jennings on my bench, both of them actually. Believe it or not.
Okay.
So there you go. So
hold on a sec. So Shea Given is the reserve, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on a sec. And
I should put 2 keepers on Warren. We'll do a Southgate on it, huh?
Exactly.
six right backs and 20 centre backs.
I'll tell you one thing: if I ever get Packy Bonner on my show, yous aren't fucking coming on, and I'll name and shame yous all.
Right.
I know you wouldn't be happy with that one, then boy.
Yeah. I'm going actively looking for Packy Bonner now. Fuck the Arsenal legend.
You still want us all to like, share, and subscribe to it.
Yeah.
And also,
a very good point, though. Actually,
Warren.
Yeah, mate.
I have to say, I was going on holidays one year, and I was up in Dublin Airport, and I went into the bar to get a pint, and Jennings was sitting down at a table with 3 other men. And I said to myself, will I go over or will I stay where I am? But I actually went over, and I just said to him, it's a pleasure to meet you, Pass. I'm an Arsenal fan. And the man gave me about 25 minutes of his time, and he was lovely. He was a gentleman. And he got up then and he headed off to get his flight, and he shook my hand. The size of his hands were enormous. But yeah it was nice to meet a legend like that.
I remember being at Highbury when I was a young fella. I think they were playing Norwich. And I see this fella from Norwich take a shot from outside the box. Pat Jennings, all he did was he just flung up one hand and he caught the ball. Then bear in mind, this guy had really smacked this ball as hard as he could. Pat Jennings just threw up one hand and caught the ball with one hand.
Yeah.
And then pulled it down and pulled it into his chest. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
A big man.
Yeah, bouncing the ball, launched it up.
It's a wonder you got near him, Kyle, with that barn that he had, huh?
Oh yeah.
So I'm just going to go through some of the chats. So Matthew Harrison says, well, hi Matthew, thanks very much for coming in. And he says, hey man, so many Bournemouth connections here. Holland, Hart, Brady, Quinn, O'Shea, Best, Long, couple of names missing. Arter and the legendary Jerry Payton. Well, I didn't
Jerry
know
Payton, of course, was Arsenal's goalkeeping coach.
But there you go. I've learned something tonight. Manny says, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining in, mate. And this will be a cracker of a debate for sure. Right, some fine names. Yeah, absolutely. UTC IAD, AFC Bournemouth fans channel. Welcome, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Hey, Manny, good to see you on here, mate, he says. And George Best has to be in this up front, Matt. I wonder how many people know he played for the Mighty Cherries. I didn't know. I don't know if anyone else did, but I certainly didn't.
I did. I read his autobiography, Blessed, and found out that he played for Bournemouth a few games, obviously. And he did enjoy himself and obviously played a big role in getting more people through the turnstiles.
Yeah. So Jez is in the chat. Hi, Jez. I hope you're well. Thanks very much for coming in. Pat Jennings made it to the starting 11, which I'm a bit surprised about, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a dogfight between Shea Given and
Packy Bonner.
Yeah, exactly. Chike says, afternoon, everyone. Afternoon to you too, Chike. I hope you're well. Right, okay. So please, everyone, please make sure that you check out these guys' YouTube channels. We've got Carl Walsh Gunner, Niall from the Upper Tier, and also Del Boy. at the end of the show, I'm going to give them the opportunity to tell you all about their channels. But please make sure you go and check them out. Subscribe to their channels. Put likes on their videos. All that sort of carry on. It's really, really important for them to be able to grow their channels and stuff. So hopefully soon, Carl will be uploading some more videos. So I'll be looking forward to that. And Niall does a couple of podcasts. He's got this thing called the Shankly Sessions. He's a massive Liverpool fan. In that podcast, he talks about Arsenal. About Liverpool, not Arsenal. And then he also does this like preview and reviews of the Premier League games on his upper tier podcast, which is great. I absolutely love watching them. I really do. They're great shows. And then we got Del Boy Gunner. Usually after every Arsenal game, he does a phone-in show where people can come on and have their say about the match and whatnot. And this is fair to say it gets a bit lively on that show sometimes. And Del Boy is a brilliant host. He really is. And he's got a fantastic channel. So please, guys, go and check them all out. So, right, moving on. Let's look at the defenders. So you guys all ready for this?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Right, so here we go. So the first one is John O'Shea, 118 caps for the Republic. Aaron Hughes, 112 caps for Northern Ireland. Steve Staunton, 102 caps for the Republic. Mal Donachie, 91 caps for Northern Ireland. Paul McGrath for the Republic with 83 caps. Jimmy Nicholl, Northern Ireland, 72 caps. Kevin Moran, 71 caps. David O'Leary, 68 caps for the Republic. Nigel Worthington with 66 caps. Ian Hart, 63 caps. Gary Green with 63 caps. I've got an interesting story about Gary Green, but I'll tell you about that all later. Mick McCarthy, 57 caps. And that's the defenders that I thought I'd just throw up. But I'll leave it open to you guys. This time I'm going to start with Del Boy. And first of all, I want you guys to see if you can pick a right back for the team. So over to you, Del Boy.
Oh, Jesus. Right back. Let me see. Just off the top of my head, I suppose right back, I'm thinking Stephen Carr. He done an okay job. Done well. Geez, I'm gone blank with right backs. Right backs. Well, I'm just trying to think here. Hold on. Because I thought you were going to say left back first, and I had a hands off. There's only one left back, and we'll come to that in a minute, of course. And then you went to the right back, and I've gone blank.
Left back if it makes it easier for you, mate. Let's go with the left back then.
Well, left back, and we'll just settle it. And the peace treaty is getting signed here now. Dennis Irwin, come on, move on. End of. No, Manny's disagreeing.
No, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, I like Dennis Irwin as well.
Yeah, okay. And Kyle?
Warren, I went for four defenders. I went for 4-4-2. That's my formation for this team. And I have Dennis Irwin on my team, but I have him playing right back. And he did play right back as well through his career. And the reason why I threw him right back is because I want to leave the left back position for Steve Staunton.
Who?
Steve Staunton.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Jesus.
So Dennis Irwin right and Steve Staunton left.
I'm disagreeing with him here. We're not fucking having fancy World Cup fucking samba soccer here. We're talking about long ball, Jack Charlton stuff.
FIFA 95 here, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'll call Eamon Dunphy and ask him to come and throw a pen at you now.
Jeez, Manny, I thought you were going to put him in your team.
Yeah.
No.
Manny, who you going for?
Me. It has to be Steve Staunton. 102 caps. Only Irishman to play in his country's 13 World Cup games. Cultured left foot, and as Mr. Walsh will agree with me, you have got to have a left-footed left back. And some of the goals he's scored, whether it's in the Premiership for Liverpool or Aston Villa, or for Ireland from a corner kick, for example, have been absolute class. Dennis Irwin, terrific at left as an inverted left back, but the worst part about having an inverted left back, as we're seeing with Takahiro Tomiyasu with Arsenal, I'm sorry, but I do have to bring that up, is that they cannot overlap. And even if Steve Staunton doesn't overlap,
Manny.
Yes.
You didn't just compare Dennis Irwin with Tomiyasu in the same breath, did you? Come on.
I didn't
Seriously.
mean to.
Stop
but you
that
can
now.
understand.
Stop that now. Good Lord.
No, but I mean, there's no clear
Jesus.
comparison with ability there, mate. But listen, the idea is that positionally, it just feels a bit awkward. So, I mean, also, you could never talk about Steve Staunton without talking about his versatility. In 1994, he was also deployed as a left midfielder. So, for that reason, I mean, there is no way you can have an Irish 11 without Steve Staunton. It was difficult for me because I had to choose between Steve Staunton and Mal Donaghy, who, of course, as you mentioned, Sir Warren, he played 91 times for Northern Ireland, starred in both of their World Cup campaigns, and also did quite well at Manchester United. The problem is when you compare their careers, Donaghy never really played too much at Manchester United, whereas with Staunton, he was a key component of a Liverpool team that came very close to winning the league and cup double twice, in 1989, when we denied them winning the league, and in 1990, when they lost to Crystal Palace in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And then he moved to Aston Villa and went on to play quite well, linking up with his fellow Irishman McGrath. It's got to be Steve Staunton. Simple as that. And of course,
Steve Staunton goes in left back all day long. And
absolutely,
I love Dennis Irwin. Dennis Irwin's a great player. And I couldn't leave Dennis Irwin out of the greatest 11. That's why you put Dennis Irwin right back. And nobody can tell me that Dennis Irwin wouldn't do a great job as a right back, because he did that for Manchester United for many years too. He's a wonderful player, Dennis Irwin. But Steve Staunton has to be left back, lads.
Absolutely. And Irwin also was right back in 94 when Ireland played in the USA. So
absolutely.
We have two for Staunton. We have two for Staunton, two for Irwin. Warren, sir, you're going to have to be the tiebreaker.
Right. Before I do that, has anyone changed their mind?
Warren, just before you decide on this, surely Irwin gets a pass on this just for that Henry goal that he flicked over him, no? Come on. You have to put that in just for that.
But I want to know if anyone on the panel has changed their mind after hearing you all talk.
Well, can I just debate something here? As in, like, can I just give my fucking view? Because I was nearly hit by a bleeding car when you said right back. Like, I'd rather Seamus Coleman right back and Dennis Irwin left back. That's what I'd rather, because I just think Dennis Irwin was such an underrated player. Roy Keane would even say it. He said, and a whole load of Man United legends would obviously say the same, that Dennis Irwin was absolutely quality. Put him in his best position. We're not doing fucking Champions League football or Dream Team football. You know what I mean? So Steve Staunton, he was one of my favourite players as well growing up. I love the chap. I really do. I don't think he should be getting in this team. I know he has loads of caps, and Manny is right in everything that he said, and I'm bigging him up 110%. But I think Dennis Irwin was best in his left-back position. You know, I'd leave him there. And I think we'll between the four of us, we'd come up with a right back for the solution here, definitely.
So for me, right, when I look at that left back position, I just keep thinking about all the horrific times that this player that I'm going to pick gave Arsenal and how he stopped us, right? And it has to be Dennis Irwin for me.
Yes. Go on, Warren.
That's because I remember him playing for United against us, and it was a nightmare. He was a nightmare. He always played at a really high level when he was playing for United, and I just remember that, and it was always I mean, I never ever remember seeing him having a bad game. And who was ever playing on Arsenal's right-hand side never really had a very good game, and that was down to him. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's got to be Dennis Irwin.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Lock that in. Lock it in.
Yeah, so I'm going to put him in. While I'm doing that, what do you want to do next?
Drink it in, lads. Drink it in.
Niall, I'm disappointed in you. A Liverpool fan, and you couldn't pick Steve Staunton.
So do you want to do right back or centre backs?
We'll go right back.
This is a combined Irish 11 here. This is not the Liverpool. This is a combined Irish 11. Don't worry, I make up for it money later on.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, the way you're picking this team, we're not going to be qualifying for no World Cup.
I'll let you kick off with the right back position.
Who goes first?
Well,
I look here. I'll throw first. I said Stephen Carr, Seamus Coleman. I'm just thinking about it now. Seamus Coleman, good captain. Like, you know, I like him. I like his off the field. Like, you know, he comes across as a real nice fella. As Frank Lampard says, he's probably one of the nicest fellas he ever met. Now, nice doesn't win your football matches, but I remember a time only a few seasons ago where PSG were after him. And, you know, and that just shows you the level that he was at. Like, you know, I know he stayed on at Everton, and you know, back in his day when he was young, he was absolutely quality, getting up and down the line. I put it out there, Seamus Coleman, right back.
Okay.
Shocking.
Carl?
Yeah. Because I didn't win the Dennis Irwin debate, I will go with Del Boy, and I'll go for Seamus Coleman myself. I also used to like Gary Kelly a bit back in the day, but Seamus Coleman be a better player, so I agree with Del Boy on this one. Seamus Coleman.
Okay, so Seamus Coleman's got 2 votes, and I'm going to go now to Noel. What do you think, Niall?
Well, I certainly don't think Seamus Coleman. That's for sure. Lads, I'm very shocked at you lads with this one now. And like, you know, we weren't making this an Arsenal show or anything, but for me, Pat Rice goes in there, and I'd Steve. No, bugger off now. Show us your list on the screen if you want. Don't be going with the elbow now and you're messaging each other and all. Don't be jumping the gun now. I heard that you put an earwin over there as well. Pat Rice goes in at right back, lads. No doubt about it. And I'd Steve Finnan on my bench.
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman wouldn't even carry the jerseys, lads.
I never thought of fucking Pat Rice.
Steve Finnan was my bench. Pat Rice was my starter.
Fuck!
Yeah, you didn't.
Shame
on you, Gooners. Shame on you.
Wow. There's a name I would never have thought of. Wow.
Seamus Coleman over Pat Rice, lads. Come on.
I am absolutely gutted. Pat Rice, Warren. Pat Rice all day long.
Okay.
Don't be fucking influenced.
Del Boy is turncoat.
Turn down.
Seamus Coleman.
Turn down PSG to stay at Everton. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Manny,
good. That's done.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, well, you know, the worst part about it is that going last, this secures a nomination for Seamus Coleman. I actually went to make another choice to satisfy our Northern Irish friends. I've gone for Jimmy Nicholl, who, like Jennings, was a member of the 1982-86 squad. So I've also taken a look at his career, and he certainly had a long career as well in the game, and many titles in Scotland with Rangers and Wraith Rovers, also won an FA Cup with Manchester United. An important part, of course, of those teams under Billy Bingham, which really, you know, gave it as good as they got, especially in 1982. And I struggled with this one a lot because I had some competitors as well. I was thinking of Chris Morris, who was the right back for Euro 88 and Italia 90, but I never really had the pleasure of seeing him play. I didn't want to go for any utility centre backs who would play as right backs in this regard. I was sort of stuck for quite some time between Steve Finnan and Gary Kelly. I ended up having Gary Kelly as my backup defender because of his versatility. He also did well in the 2002 World Cup. I believe he started at right back, but then moved into right midfield so that Steve Finnan could come in, and both of them ended up combining quite brilliantly during that tournament. But he's on the bench. But I just think when you take a look at the longevity of Nichol's career, how he was able to continue to play quite well at a high level while also managing from as early as 1990, I think. He played for Northern Ireland for about 10 years. I had him as my starting right back, but I think with 2 votes for Seamus Coleman, I think that pretty much seals it.
So you've gone for Seamus Coleman as well, Manny, is that right?
No, my pick was Jimmy Nicholl from Northern Ireland.
Jimmy Nicholl.
And then myself and Niall has gone for Pat Rice.
And here, I got Pat Rice as well. I went off the boil.
Then what, you let me down the yard, Pat the yard.
Don't fail with that, lads, will you?
Here, ask Niall next to bollocks. He's slating me. Ask him.
There's 3 of you gone with Pat Rice, is that right?
Pat Rice, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So he gets in the team. So what I want you to do now is pick a couple of centre backs. So
I'm going to go with this one first, and this
Manny,
one
I'm
will
gonna
be
let you start. So if you could choose 2 centre backs to play in this team, that'd be brilliant.
Well, I know one centre-back who will go into this team, and all I can say is that if he doesn't go into this team, the 6'3" Kyle Walsh from Wexford will come over and find me and give me a hiding. It's got to be Paul McGrath.
Absolutely.
And no discussions. And
the
second
other one?
centre-back, the second centre-back is someone I've struggled with because I was thinking of Mick McCarthy and possibly Kevin Moran, who, of course, partnered together. But the problem is when you take away one, I'm not too sure you can have the other. And that was why I left both of them out. I was thinking of, to be honest, I never really thought of Gary Breen that much. Richard Dunn was considered. I ended up going for Aaron Hughes from Northern Ireland.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let's go to Niall. What have you gone with, Niall?
I went with Paul McGrath, of course. I think anyone who wouldn't go with Paul McGrath should check themselves. And I went with his partner in there, Mark Lawrenson. Partly for my Liverpool colours, but partly for that brilliant moustache as well. And what a player he was as well. And I have Richard Dunn on my bench just for that night in Russia.
Right. Okay.
John O'Shea's on my bench.
And Del Boy, who are you going with?
I'm torn now. I'm torn. Like, obviously, Paul, absolute. He's a god in Ireland, so we park that there. He's hands down, I'd say. I'm stuck. Like, I do agree with Niall. Mark Lawrenson, absolute quality player. I'm not I'm sure Niall isn't just saying it because of the Liverpool connection either, but he absolutely was. I'd like to mention Big Nick as well. Give him a shout out. He was fucking outstanding as well. Especially in the 1990 World Cup and stuff like that. As I say, I keep going back to that, but he was captain fantastic and all that. He was a great leader. I'm going to go with Mick. I have to give it to him. Look, he got us to. He done well managing as well. So, I'll go Mick McCarthy.
Okay, brilliant. And Kyle, what was your choices?
First choice is the greatest centre back ever to play for the country, Paul McGrath. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed over the last 4 to 5 years. I've gotten to know the man very well and became very good friends with him. I played numerous soccer matches for charity games now with him as well, and I've seen him do things for the football that would just mesmerise you. even at this stage in his life with the bad legs. An absolute genius of a footballer and one hell of a gentleman. Really nice. And as I say, I've got to know him personally, and there's no words can describe how nice of a man he really is. I'm going to go with David O'Leary, centre back, to go with Paul McGrath. And I have Mark Lawrence on my subs bench. It was a toss-up between Lawrence and David O'Leary. And trust me, in the last 3 or 4 days, I've been putting Lawrence down O'Leary, and back to Lawrence. So I was a 50-50. Two of my great players, David O'Leary nicks it for me.
Right. So now said Paul McGrath and Mark Lawrenson. Del Boy, you said Paul McGrath and did you go with Lawrenson as well?
Mick McCarthy.
Mick McCarthy. And Manny, you went with McGrath and who else?
Aaron Hughes from Northern Ireland.
Right, Aaron Hughes. So you've all gone with different ones for the backup as well as the second centre back. So
the host has to split it. The host has to split it.
Yeah,
Yep,
Paul McGrath in, right? So,
unanimous.
do you want me to make the final decision?
I know who you're going to pick.
Well, it won't be who you necessarily think. I know one of the fellas, Gary Breen. I saw him play for Maidstone United when he was a young fella at Arsenal, and when he was playing, I couldn't believe it. He reminded me so much of Alan Hansen because he was so comfortable on the ball and absolutely superb defender. But the fella that I'm picking is going to be a shock to you all, but I'm going with Niall. I'm going with Mark Lawrenson because I think he's just... David O'Leary for me is an absolute legend. He is, right? And an absolute gentleman. But I just...
Glad I sent you that team earlier, Warren. Good man.
I have to admit that
Warren, you're putting some good... You're putting some good ones out there. Gary Breen and Alan Hansen. Where do you get these sentences from? Good Lord.
Honestly, no word of a lie.
You must have been watching different Irish international football that we were all watching. Gary Breen and Alan Hansen. Oh, my God.
Arsenal played Maidstone United in the FA Youth Cup. Now, I live in Kent, right? And a mate of mine was the groundsman at Maidstone when they were in the Football League. And when Arsenal got them in the Youth Cup, he got invited by the groundsman at Arsenal to go out and look at their facilities and whatnot. And he knew I was an Arsenal fan, so he took me with him. Mate, the stuff they had was just mind-blowing. And then when I saw Gary Breen playing in that game, he just head and shoulders above the rest of the players. But the fact he went on to play international football probably says why, you know. But no,
that was just his height, Warren. His height had him head and shoulders above people. Warren, tell us this: would Ronaldo have been happy with the facilities?
Probably not. Probably not.
Ronaldo for me.
Not sure Roy Keane would have been happy either.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put Lawrenson in, and then.
Jeez, I'll tell you what, Warren, you're not welcome in the corridors of the Arsenal fan base anymore, not picking O'Leary.
Mate, it was a hard choice.
Come on, mate.
I have to face facts, and I just think Mark Lawrenson's a little bit better. I really do. If it was a choice between Mark Lawrenson and Rich, then that would have been really difficult. But no, Mark Lawrenson edges it for me because I just think he was way better. he was just that little bit better than David O'Leary, even though O'Leary was an absolute legend for Arsenal. He really was. Anyway, so we've got our back four and a goalkeeper. So far, we've got in goal, we've got Pat Jennings, and then we've got Dennis Irwin, Paul McGrath, Mark Lawrenson, and Pat Rice. So there you go. That's looking pretty solid, I have to say. So let's move on to the midfield. So before we do that, I'm just going to go through these chats. So Matthew Harrison, Bournemouth best Irish team, Jerry Payton, goalkeeper, Ian Hart, John O'Shea, Mark Wilson, Harry Arter, Matt Holland, Steve Robinson, Gareth O'Connor, George Best, and Jimmy Quinn. Did all these players really play for Bournemouth, or is he having a wind-up?
Yeah.
No, Best did play, and I'm pretty certain that if you look at their careers, they did. I know Hart did at the end of his career. And,
it's incredible. I didn't know that. Wow. It's incredible. I know that they had one of our old midfielders there, didn't they? The guy that got injured all the time. And he came back to Arsenal as a coach for a while. What was his name? Del Boy, help me out. What was that midfielder that we had that went to Bournemouth?
Jack Wilshere.
Yeah, that's it, Jack Wilshere, yeah. Manny, Bournemouth Fans Channel, thanks for tuning in, gents, legends, all of you. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Craig AFC 87, good evening, fellas. Real ones, big up the island. Absolutely.
Big up, Craig.
Ty was saying, Damien Duff, thank you very much, Ty. Yeah, we'll be getting to him later.
Just 1 second, Warren. I just want to say there to Ty, fuck Damien Duff, fucking prick.
Old pod.
Yeah, fucking dickhead. I have no time for him. No time for that prick.
Oh, you mean David?
This sounds like there's a story behind it, Kyle.
There is a big story.
Kyle, give us
He's
the story behind it. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Ring the bell, Apollo.
87 says Paul McGrath was a top defender Southern Country. He was, and I remember seeing him play at Highbury a few times and for Man United, and he was absolutely superb. He really was. Arsenal Alex says, hi, everyone. And he was one of these players, he never looked hurried when he was on the ball. And I never, ever see him have a bad game. All right. And then towards the end of his career, am I right in saying that he never trained during the week? He only played at the week on match days. I mean, he never, ever trained.
Same at international level, Warren. He had a special training routine when he was playing with Jack and all. Yeah, he wouldn't train and stuff. Yeah, just roll him out there. Yeah, he never moved fast because he wasn't able to. It was nothing to do with he was more laid back than Van Dijk.
Now we're going on to the midfielders, right? But Del Boy, don't worry, there's no Declan Rice in here, all right?
Yeah.
And to be either, let me tell you.
Right, so first one is Jerry Daly. 48 caps, 13 goals. He played for Man City and the subject of a rather large transfer back in the day. It was in the early 80s, I think, Niall, if I'm right. Stephen Davis, 117 caps, 12 goals. James McLean, 94 caps, 11 goals. Jimmy McElroy, 55 caps, 10 goals. Now, he looks fairly elderly, but probably by now. Norman Whiteside, 38 caps, 9 goals. Kevin Sheedy, 46 caps, 9 goals. Martin O'Neill, 64 caps, 9 goals. Roy Keane, 67 caps, 9 goals. Liam Brady, 72 caps, 9 goals. Damien Duff, 100 caps, 8 goals. Keith Gillespie, 86 caps, 2 goals. So I'm going to let you, first of all, pick. We're going to do a 4-4-2, if that's all right. And I'm going to get Del Boy to pick a left midfielder. Or start off the debate about left midfield position.
Well, look, I only done a show about him there. There's only one man I'm picking. What a left foot he had. Absolute legend. Arsenal legend. And I learned he came 9th in the Ballon d'Or, doing my show the other day. Met the guy over when it was at a game as well. He oozes class. The man's a legend, an absolute legend. Liam Chippy Brady for me on the left-hand side. I'd love to have him on the left-hand side cutting in. He'd absolutely school everyone. If he had the fitness levels that they do today, and the all the food that they eat and all these dietitians and fucking nutritionists and all this bollocks, he'd be up there, right up there to top 5, I'd say, maybe even push into the top 4 or whatever of the world on his prime, So, yeah, 100% for me, Liam Brady on the left-hand side.
Thanks, Del. Niall?
Yeah, I had Brady on the left as well. I toyed with it, of course, because I had to double check on Wikipedia, make sure that he was Irish and not English and stuff like that, so, but that goes without saying. That's for all you gooners out there. Come at me.
You got 4 of us in the room, mate. We're coming at you.
Yeah, and about 400 in the chat. Come on, like a title, man. Let's go. Liam Brady, absolutely brilliant, fantastic player. What a player he was for Juventus and Arsenal. He get my vote as well.
Superb stuff. Thank you, Niall. Carl?
Yeah, it was a toss-up between 2 players for me. Liam Brady, I didn't know which one to go for. It was very tight. Between Liam Brady and James McLean.
Stop the lights, will you? Stop now.
The screen at me. No,
Jesus Christ.
No, Lee Brady all day long, Warren. I don't even know if James McLean was even put on the fucking screen. Another fucking dickhead. Absolute. That James McLean is the worst bagel I ever saw on a football field. Lee Brady, all day long, the man is a football genius as far as I'm concerned. Nobody can touch him.
100%. Manny, what's your thoughts about the left to midfield position?
Well, this is going to be another unanimous choice along with Paul McGrath. It has to be Liam Brady, but I also was toying with the idea of maybe putting Kevin Sheedy in there because he, of course, was important for them in Euro 88. And, of course, he has his place in the history books as being the first ever Irish goal scorer at the World Cup finals. He also had a pretty more than decent career with Everton, winning 2 league titles with them. But again, you take a look at videos of Brady, just what a sweet left foot he had. The criminal thing is that almost a bit like Saka today, you could say that he's 2-footed, but he obviously prefers to use his left foot. But he was also used as more of an attacking central midfielder or even left midfielder who would cut in and then shoot. For me, you've got to have your best left-footed player on the left wing. And I think if, it's 3 out of 4, there's no contest. It's got to be Chippy Brady. And he loves his fish and chips. What more can you ask for? And I'm sorry about Kevin Sheedy. I would have plumped for him, but sadly, he doesn't even make my bench. Liam Brady all day long.
Exactly. And the thing is about him, I reckon you could play in any position across the midfield. And if he was playing now, he would probably be pushed forward into the number 10 role. Because I think he'd do that job really well, just because of his creativity. But But yeah, if I was choosing a team, he'd have to be going, and I'd have to make a special mention for Kevin Sheedy. What a player he was! He was superb for Everton and for the Republic as well. He was absolutely superb.
And he scored against England in the World Cup. So
well, exactly. That's an added bonus.
Yeah.
So, let's go for right midfield. Who you guys want to have on the right midfield slot?
Warren, there was actually one name that you probably didn't include in that group of players. I suppose because you've included him as a forward. But I think if we were to take a look at how he made his name at Manchester United, he would have to be a first choice in that position. Who else but Dr. George Best?
Yeah, I had him in the forward, so we'll be talking about him in a little while. So hold on to that thought, Manny.
I have Norman Whiteside in my right slot.
Okay. All right. No problem, Carl. Anyone else got any other thoughts about that?
Maybe Ray Houghton?
I was just about to say Ray Houghton, but I know Stapleton played up front as well. I suppose an honorary mention for him, but Ray Houghton for me. I probably would have him up there.
Okay. What about you, Niall?
Yeah, I went with a different formation. I went with 4-3-3. But to jig it around, I'd probably agree. I'd agree with Warren. Probably put Whiteside in there on the right. And then we could talk about the two centres, but then I have to jig around what I have up front there. Yeah, definitely.
Norman Whiteside, Warren gets in on the right wing there. He was a fabulous footballer, absolutely fabulous. Him on one wing and Brady on the other, exceptional.
So, no, sorry, what was your choice, mate? Sorry?
Whiteside, yeah, Norman Whiteside.
Norman Whiteside, thank you. And Manny?
Yeah, I wanted to pick George Best, but obviously that's not possible. I was considering Ray Houghton as an honourable mention, but I suppose I'll have to bow to peer pressure and go for Whiteside myself. And let's remember, the only things that Whiteside and George Best have in common are that they're from the same area, they began their professional careers at the same club, and they were spotted by the same talent scout. Otherwise, no difference.
Okay, fair enough. So, Del Boy, what's your thoughts about that, mate?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't argue with them. Whiteside was absolutely outstanding as well. The talent that guy had. I can't disagree with the lads. I suppose. Look, Ray Houghton wouldn't be a bad shout to come on off the bench either. So I'd be happy to let the boys have that one.
Okie-doke, good man. Thank you. Right, so now, guys, I want you to pick two central midfield players. So I'm going to come to Niall first for this one. So what do you think, Niall? Who would you have in the central midfield? I can pretty much guess one of them, but I'm not sure.
I don't know whether you'll guess either of these. I was conflicted on this one, obviously because of Saipan. But Roy Keane goes in there. If you park all that other stuff and you put him in there based on talent and stuff like that. And I put him in a pivot there with John Giles. And I thought that would be an excellent pivot between hold and attacking. So Roy Keane and John Giles make my central midfielders.
You wouldn't put Martin O'Neill in?
Not a hope. didn't even make the bench. the less we put Martin out here, the less we put Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane together, the better. Let's put it that way.
I can agree with that.
He's
I
the
can go with
reason
that.
we don't have Declan Rice and Jack Grealish playing for Ireland, and you want me to put Martin O'Neill in my team? Stop.
Oh,
No,
God.
listen,
hate
Niall,
is
if
real.
it makes you feel any better, Rice and Grealish aren't exactly pulling up trees at the moment.
Yeah. But still,
Rice will
let's
when he
leave
goes to
that alone.
Liverpool. Shh.
Del Boy, what do you think? Who would your centre midfield pairing be?
Yeah, I know. I have to agree with Niall. Johnny Giles, Roy Keane's a shoe in for me. Like, you know, I'm sort of over the Saipan bit now. Like, you know, some people have a chip on their shoulder, but that's not me. Maybe it's because their club are doing shite this season and he's just upset about football. But yeah, that's not Roy Keane for me. But yeah, Johnny Giles as well, 100% all day long. You know, you watch the old clip. Even Roy Keane has talked about Johnny Giles, fucking top class player. I'm sure you've heard the story that I said before. Um, Charlie George done a legend tour of the Emirates a few years ago, and I said to him, "Who's the toughest tackler he has ever had play against him?" And he just goes, "Mate, I'm not just saying this because you're Irish, but that Johnny Giles is a dirty bastard," you know. And also he just goes, "Yeah, look, not just that, but he was absolutely outstanding." And I think if you have Roy Keane and Johnny Giles in the middle of the park, there's not too many players that will be going by you too easy.
No, 100%. Carl, what do you think, mate?
Warren, my dad played with Giles at Ormond Celtic. Giles' dad was the manager. Yeah, and he never stopped talking about Giles. My father played with Giles at Ormond Celtic, and Giles' dad was the manager. And my dad never stopped talking about John Giles as a footballer until the day he passed away. He said he was incredible.
Wow, well, there you go.
Yeah, there's when I done this team, there was certain names that was put on the team sheets without even thinking. And straight away, my two centre midfielders was Roy Keane and John Giles. Exceptional players. Sure, you have three or four there straight away. That just goes to show how good they were. Amazing players. And you wouldn't buy them in today's market if they were around. Unbelievable.
100%. Excellent. Manny, have you got anything to add to that?
I might just start off a rumble over here. I'm going to say right now that Roy Keane neither makes my first team nor does he make the bench.
Oh,
good man, Manny. Good man.
Shots fired. He's got it's James McLean and Damien Duff, isn't it?
No, it isn't. Because first of all, both of them would play on the left wing, and we already decided that Chippy Brady goes over there. No, Brady stays where he is. He is untouchable. Now, for the central midfield, obviously, when it comes to Keane, there's no denying that he was an outstanding midfielder in his day. Certainly a terrific box-to-box midfielder, had his share of great matches for Manchester United, and of course, a lot of, regardless of Saipan, everyone associated with the 2002 campaign will agree that during that qualifying campaign, he was absolutely magnificent. Whether it was against the Dutch at Lansdowne Road or against Portugal or, you know, just a couple of other matches to name, or even when he came back under Brian Kerr and had that brilliant game against Zidane inspired, if you will, France team, he showed he still had it. But the biggest issue that I had with him was when it came to, I mean, obviously, I never thought that as a player, he was that type of person who would really, you know, gel in and buy into that sort of camaraderie. And it's a bit like selecting a British and Irish Lions team. It's not necessarily about selecting the most talented players, but about those players who will also add a little bit more to the collective, if you will. And I've had to really scratch my head and look up players who certainly added a lot more and a lot in terms of talent, but also would really buy into the collective. And in contrast to our dear friend from the upper tier who didn't even consider Martin O'Neill, I actually have Martin O'Neill in my first team. Because when you take a look at how brilliant he was as a player, it's so easy for us to get just how brilliant a player he was, whether it was for Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest or even for Northern Ireland, where he was captain for that memorable 1982 campaign. He was one of the players who defined football during that particular period, as part of that 42-game unbeaten run to European Cups, and of course captaining the side in that campaign. And he obviously brought his talent and expertise into his management career, although I think it's fair to say that we won't see him managing ever again, which is a bit of a shame. He goes in there definitely. And this second central midfield position for me was also a real toughie, because I had to rack my brains between three people: Ray Houghton, Sammy McIlroy from Northern Ireland, and Andrew Townsend, who captained the side in USA 94. And as difficult as it was to leave out Ray Houghton, and also, just not quite give Sammy McIlroy his props, I went with Andy Townsend, just for the spirit he lends and how well he blended into the side. He obviously was highly regarded by Charlton, who made him captain, and of course he still captained the team under McCarthy before retiring. So Martin O'Neill and Andy Townsend are my two choices, and I've got Sammy McIlroy from Northern Ireland on the bench.
Okay, fair enough. Right, well, given it's a 3-1 split for Roy Keane and Johnny Giles, that's what it is in the centre positions.
I can't argue.
So I'm just going to quickly go through the chats. And this is going to upset a few people. Craig AFC 87, Liam Brady. Oh, I thought he said he wasn't. No. He said Liam Brady was a special footballer. He certainly was. Absolutely exceptional. According to Arsenal, Liam Brady played for England. That was so disrespectful to a legend who played for our club. 100%, mate. It was absolutely shocking. And big up to Jeremy Corbyn for having a word with Arsenal and putting them right about a few things. I meant the person who was responsible for putting up that Liam Brady banner. Yeah, 100%, Craig. I totally agree with you. But
Warren, big up to yourself as well. You were the person who got in touch with Jeremy. So big up yourself. Fair play, mate.
Yeah, I did get in touch with Jeremy Corbyn. I also got in touch with all the Irish press as well, the Irish Independent and loads of others, because I was really angry. I haven't been as angry or upset about anything like that for a long time, because he was a hero to me. Like, I remember first time I saw him, I think I was about 7 or 8 years old. And he was just an absolute genius. And I just got really, really upset about how he'd been disrespected. And what I couldn't get my head around was the fact that someone who was working for the club didn't know that he was Irish. I just couldn't figure it out. I just thought, this is crazy. But which makes me think it may have been a PR company that done it. Maybe it wasn't the club, but whoever was responsible, it's not acceptable. You can't do stuff like that.
No, terrible.
No.
It's the same. I'll just give you a quick story about that fucking dickhead, that Damien Duff. I was up in County Wicklow, and I went into a little coffee shop to get a coffee and a bit of a cake. And that prick was there with his girlfriend or wife or whatever the fuck she is to him. And there was a man sitting opposite. There was literally 3 people in the fucking coffee shop. And there was a father with his child. And the child was about 7 years of age in a wheelchair. And this was the time when Damien Duff was a big shot. And the father wheeled the wheelchair over and said to him, "Sorry, Damien, for interrupting you. Is there any chance I can get an autograph for my little fella?" And that prick turned around and said, "Would you fuck off? Do you not see I'm having a cup of coffee?" That's what that dickhead said to a child in a wheelchair at 7 years of age. And I tell you the truth, I looked over and I said, who the fuck do you think you are? I say, just because you're a fucking professional footballer playing for fucking Blackburn Rovers in the fucking Premier League at the time, I said, do you think you're some sort of god? I said, do you not realise how fucking lucky you are? So he told me to fuck off. So I told him, go fuck yourself. And I wish the fuck he would have stood up because I would have put him out through the fucking coffee window. But he didn't stand up. But that's the sort of character that bollocks is. And let me tell you something. I've heard other stories about that little prick, and he refusing to sign autographs and take pictures with children. Who the fuck does he think he is? And the other thing, and the same there last week, I heard about Rio Ferdinand. The same Kenny Ken was saying about Rio Ferdinand. These fellas are fucking dickheads. I don't know who to think they are. Rio Ferdinand's from the council estate over in fucking London there. And he became a multi-millionaire because of these children's fathers and mothers going to Old Trafford and buying jerseys and making these fellas multi-millionaires. The same with this fucking Ronaldo. Talking fucking shit. Does he not realise he's on 500,000 a week at Manchester United? And he's living a lifestyle that the rest of us could only fucking dream of. That's what I'm saying. That's why football is the way it is. Because of pricks like them. If I was in their shows, I can guarantee you, I sign autographs and take pictures all fucking day long. But that's my little story about that prick Damien fucking Duff.
You'd probably get a pain in your bollocks eventually, like.
No.
Warren, we just have Damien Duff here. Kyle, Damien Duff here in the chat right now. Hang on.
Throw him up on the screen there. Let me have a few words with this fucking asshole.
Walsh.
Fucking, I'll tell you one thing, that reading.
I'm glad you got my chest, boy. Good man.
Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't if there was about 50 or 60 people in the fucking shop that was annoying him. One person. And the little chap in a wheelchair. I fuck him out through the window so I would, the fucking dickhead.
God.
Oh,
did he realise the outfit had the eBay app on his phone or something like that, did he?
Gee whiz. Well, fair play to you, Carl, mate.
Fuck him. Let me tell you, Warren, he won't even make the All-Ireland fucking 11B team. Fuck him. Let him rot the fucking reserves.
So we're gonna, with that,
I reckon if he had stood up,
I would have knocked him out. That's what
in the first, Kyle. I reckon he would have. I reckon he would have took you, Kyle. He was a hard Chelsea player at that stage. I reckon he would have knocked you out.
No. I disagree. I disagree. I'm going to stand up for Carl right here. He's told me everything. 6'3", built like a shed house, an almost dead ringer for Darren Randolph. Duff wouldn't have stood a chance.
I tell you one thing, the Duffer would be like fucking Superman, straight out through the fucking first window.
Yep. Duff was
fucking.
What do you reckon, Del? Del, do you reckon Duffer would have took Kyle now?
Oh, I tell you, Jesus Christ. I've met Kyle. No, he's a lovely chap. He was.
Hey, then boy. He wouldn't fucking start. He wouldn't start you, Del Boy. I guarantee you that. Del Boy, I bet you if he was stadium with Del Boy for a learning game. I tell you the truth, he nearly killed what was in the fucking in the section we were standing in. Out with the flag, no bullshit. Lads getting on home. Fuck yes, he said. And I tell you another thing, there was a fella trying to throw his weight around Del Boy, but at the end of the game, Del Boy made one little quick move. The man shat all over himself. There's no messing here, is there, Del Boy?
There's no fucking messing. Keep it simple.
Right, all right, lads. Badly. So let's move on to the forwards. And first one is Robbie Keane, 146 caps, 68 goals. David Healy, 95 caps, 36 goals. Niall Quinn, 91 caps, 21 goals. Frank Stapleton, 71 caps, 20 goals. Carl Lafferty, 75 caps, 20 goals. Don Givens, 56 caps, 19 goals. Johnny Aldridge, absolute legend in my book, 69 caps, 19 goals. Shang, 88 caps, 17 goals. Jonathan Waters, 53 caps, 14 goals. Georgie Best, 37 caps, 9 goals. Billy Gillespie, 25 caps, 13 goals. And that's it. So, guys, you need now to pick 2 forward players. So, I'm going to start off with Carl Walsh for this one. Who are you playing up front, Carl?
Yeah, I went for 2 players. That's an interesting stat there about Niall Queen. I thought he scored more than 21 goals. Yeah. But anyway, the 2 lads I went for, George Best walks into the team, no problem. And the fella playing along beside him, and go for Robbie Keane.
Fair play. You don't fancy Damien Duff then?
No,
No,
Warren, that's
no
not
fucking
fair,
way.
Is this Frank Warren team talk?
No, I'm coming to you now, mate. What do you reckon? Who's getting the 2 forward places?
You're coming to me, is it?
Yeah, please, mate.
Robbie Keane goes in there, and I went for Frank Stapleton.
Okie doke. Del Boy?
Yeah, look, Georgie Best for me, hands down. He'd be probably up there, one of the first names on the team sheet. He was an absolute legend. You know, you have to give it to him. I used to sort of compare myself to Georgie Best. Me Elfley used to always go to me, you can't go out on a Saturday night and have a few pints and expect to play football in the morning. And I says, Dad, Georgie fucking Best does, so I can, you know. But yeah, it didn't quite work out well for me. I think that was right. But yeah, look, on a few honorable mentions, like, you know, David Healy as well. Like, he was brutal at club level, but for an international for Northern Ireland, he used to always score goals. He wasn't near me sheet. He wouldn't even be on the sub bench, but I'd have to sort of give him an honorary mention. Fair play to him. Frank Stapleton as well. Like, you know, Niall said him there. Frank was a fucking legend. He used to love playing for his country. And I heard rumours, I don't know if they're true, but the same fella told me that Seamus Coleman was linked to PSG. So I'm not sure if this rumour is true, but it was in his contract, Frank Stapleton had, that he always had to be available for selection for his country. That's what he had put into his contract. But no, I'll have to go with Robbie Keane. All-time Irish scorer. You know, he used to always come up trumps. Like, you know, when we needed a goal or something like that, he was always there or thereabouts. You know, his goals speaks for itself. An ex-Spurs man, I know, but look, we're talking about Ireland here, so yeah, I'd have to go with Robbie Keane.
Fair play, mate. Manny?
Oh boy, I'm going to be, crucified for this because, when I came up with my 11, I had George Best as my right winger, and I'm torn between whether I should shoehorn George Best in just to make sure he gets into the team, or stick to my guns and go for my original striker pairing. And I wanted to have a striker pairing, given the 4-4-2, of a person who could sort of link up the play really without necessarily being prolific, and someone who would complement him by being more or less a goal poacher, if you will. So I had Robbie Keane as my goal poacher, and it wasn't really. It was a toss-up between him and David Healy, and I thought Healy was magnificent for Northern Ireland and at club level. But as Del said, when it came to the issue of international play, and obviously the sort of impact that Robbie Keane had on Ireland's fortunes ever since he made his debut. And also, let's not forget, he was also a pretty big part of the Irish youth team. I don't recollect if it was under 18 or under 16. It must have been under 18, I think, which won the European Championships not too long before that World Cup. So Robbie Keane gets in. And the second one was another toss-up between Frank Stapleton and Niall Quinn. the two big strikers who could also hold up the play quite well. I know that. So for me, I solved this toss-up by having Niall Quinn on the bench because, for most of the tournament play he would always come off the bench anyway, and he'd always have a very pivotal role coming off the bench, whether it was scoring against the Netherlands in Italia 90 or that brilliant assist for Robbie Keane's equaliser against Germany in 2002. So Quinn would be on the bench. And the reason why I have Stapleton up front is because he was slightly more prolific in terms of goals to games ratio than Niall Quinn. And he was also that type of striker who could hold up play quite well. And I think Dell would agree with me when he said that the fact that Stapleton had it in his contract that he had to be available to play for Ireland. I mean, that is patriotism in excelsis. So for me, it's Frank Stapleton and Robbie Keane as my forwards with Niall Quinn on the bench.
Fair play, mate. Thank you. Right, so we've got Robbie Keane. I think everyone's agreed that you want Robbie Keane in the team. Am I right?
Yeah.
And then I think three of you said George Best. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the two forward positions
three
are going to be Robbie Keane and Georgie Best in that case. So
two went for Best and two went for Stapleton.
Who said Best?
So Robbie Keane and
two said Best and two said Stapleton.
So once again, Warren, sir, you're the tiebreaker.
Georgie Best. So the front two, if I'm not wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, is Robbie Keane and George Best. Is that right? Did I get that right, or have I missed something? Because I'm getting confused now.
Two people picked Best and two people picked Stapleton. So you have to decide, Warren. Stapleton or Best?
Two have said Best and two have said Stapleton.
Yeah, so you have to decide.
It's hard because when I grew up loving Frank Stapleton because he was an Arsenal player, but I've got to hold my hands up and say that Georgie Best in his prime was just unplayable. I remember when I was at school, there was a teacher and he made a passionate case that George Best was better than Pelé. All right. And I've seen clips of him playing for Manchester United. And when he was on his game and on his peak, he was superb. But the issue is the thing would worry me about picking him was whether or not he'd turn up. Because I've heard stories that he would just not bother turning up for matches because he'd be out on the lash. You know what I mean? And that does concern me. But I'm looking at this from the perspective of a fictional 11, and because these players are never all going to play together because they're all from different ages and whatnot. So I'm going to have to go with George Best. So now, what we're moving on to now is the managers. And this is where it gets interesting for me. So the managers, what I've done is I've just put up a table. And in the table, you can see all the managers. There was the top 10, all right? And their win percentages, the points they got, the goals their team scored and the conceded and the goal difference. A bit like a league table, really. When they were in charge from, how many games they played, things like that. And then the other choice is you pick one of those, or if you don't fancy it, you could also have a selection committee and you could choose these 8 fellas. Yeah, and work in a committee and pick the team. She had Boy Gunner, also known as Rubber Duck. You got Jared Lachlan, you got Bono and Michael O'Leary, and you've got Carl.
Bono can fuck off as well.
The fellow with the glasses, I can't remember his name.
Fucking Bono.
What's the guy with the glasses name? He's a GAA coach, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Delwar, you're the GM, man.
I know, it's coming to me. Hold on.
He's from the north of Ireland, isn't he?
I know. He's gone out with. He only got married there recently. What's his fucking name? Give me a second. It'll come to me.
Yeah. Anyway, but you can have a selection committee because when I was doing this, I looked into the history of the national team, and at the beginning, it wasn't separated. It was like the rugby team is now. It was just a team for the whole country. And then when the separation of Ireland happened, there were two associations and they went their separate ways, basically. And there was one team for the whole country. It was a committee that would pick the team and set the tactics and whatnot. So there is a serious point behind that. If you want to have a selection committee, you can, or you can choose one guy from that list. So I'm going to go to Niall first. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, the last time we used the selection committee, we ended up with Trapattoni. So that ain't happening ever again. I can tell you that much. So there's only one for me. And the cap describes the man. This cap sits in my room all the time with my merchandise and stuff. So for me, it's Big Jack. Has to be Big Jack. As much as I love Brian Kerr and I love his commentary and all, he's a headbanger, Brian Kerr. But it has to be Big Jack. It has to be Jack Charlton.
Fair play. Kyle?
Big Jack Charlton for me as well. But what I'll say is 1990 was great, all the rest of it, but the football was fucking brutal. The long ball. I always thought that we could do better at football with the team that we had, with the players that we had. They were top quality players. I thought we could have played a better style of football. But what he did worked. It was effective and fair play to him. Put him under pressure. Big Jack Charlton all day long.
Fair play, mate. Manny?
Interesting one indeed. You know, it's wonderful to hear Mr. Walsh saying that the football wasn't really of the best. And I'm not too sure that Mr. Brady will take very kindly to being managed by Big Jack, given that it was Big Jack who effectively crushed his dream of appearing at Italia 90 by almost humiliating him by playing him in a friendly to show that show the whole world that Brady was past it. I mean, it was just unfortunate and tragic that Chippy never got to play in a major tournament. I mean, obviously for Euro 88, you can't blame Big Jack in many ways, but yes, he did wonderful things for the country, but I've really had to have a good think about this one. And I also take a look at someone like Mick McCarthy. Now, I know that given Roy Keane's in the team as a central midfielder, Mick McCarthy would not be welcomed by him. But I take a look at what he did. When he replaced Charlton, he took over a team that was aging a little bit. New blood was needed. And he obviously wanted to employ a new style of football, which was poles apart from Jack Charlton. And obviously he wanted to make sure that new players would be brought in. That meant, of course, that he had to phase out a few players like Aldridge and McGrath, who probably weren't, I think their legs just weren't up to the challenge of playing international football anymore. There were a few people who stayed, like Townsend stayed till 97. Cascarino was there till 99. But he wanted to mould a new team and obviously bring about a new style of football. And obviously, you know, that youthful team, I think they lost a few playoffs, but they were always there or thereabouts. And of course, 2002 was when it all came together magnificently. And of course, when he came back to replace Martin O'Neill, he actually held the team together and took them to close to qualifying for the playoffs for Euro 2020, if I'm correct, only to be, brutally pushed aside so that Stephen Kenny could come in. And I know that the very mention of Stephen Kenny will not make either Del Boy or Kyle Walsh or even our friend from the upper tier happy at all. So I look at Mick McCarthy. I looked at him as one option. I also took a look at some Northern Irishman, Pete Doherty, who managed the 1958 team, I believe, which made history for Northern Ireland by reaching the quarterfinals. He also was a fine manager. But my choice for his overall impact for Northern Irish football and what he did for his country was Billy Bingham. He, of course, was the manager for the 1982 and 86 teams, and he obviously was a towering figure for in Irish footballing circles. I know he does have a win percentage of only 40%, but sometimes you take a look, you look beyond the stats and see the type of impact that he had on that team. And surely during the Troubles, the years of the Troubles, he was a source of inspiration for the country in many ways, and how he was able to get that team together. And mind you, he even considered picking George Best for 1982, only to say, no, not really. He's not up to it anymore. But he got that team, he gelled that team quite brilliantly indeed. Obviously, first under Martin O'Neill and then under Sammy McElroy. It was a toss-up between him and McCarthy, but I went for Billy Bingham.
Fair play, mate. And Del Boy?
Yeah, that's a great shout by Mane as well. Absolutely quality manager. But I always had it in my head at the start of this Big Jack, but you threw a spanner in the works there, so I have to sort of reevaluate me thinking here and stuff like that. I suppose Kyle is right. The players that Big Jack had, could he got more out of them? He probably should have got more out of them. The long ball, Kyle is right. Long ball, he sort of missed out in the midfield sort of players that we had there to play it around a bit and probably attack a different way, rather than just a long ball over the top. So in that, I'm going to change my mind. And I'm going to go into the selectors that you had there, but one stands out for me. I love a Diego Simeone type manager. And this fella has already said, sort of spotted a few weaknesses in the Jack Charlton manager selection, So there's only one of the selectors there that you have. Now, you mentioned the Northern Ireland fella with the glasses there. It was Joe Brawley, by the way. It just fucking came to me there. Yeah. But anyway, the selector that I'd have to do would be Kyle Walsh. I'd like him managing in the dugout because there would be absolutely no fucking messing. Roy Keane would be shivering in his boots to stand up and Kyle Walsh. As Kyle Walsh should say, he'd be doing the fucking Superman out the window.
I guarantee you, if I did take over, we'd be playing Brazil in the World Cup final, my friend.
Yeah.
There'll be no fucking bullshit. The standards will be up to here, and that's what I'd be expecting. If not, fuck off back home.
No, Del Boy.
Don't for us the assistant, huh?
Del Boy, you wouldn't have Carl Walsh and a managerial duo with Big Jack.
I think that it'd be like Eamon Dunphy and Big Jack, because one would want to be going long ball and the other would want to be playing it through the middle, so there'd be a bit of friction there. And I wouldn't like to see Kyle Walsh hit an old man, God love him.
or Carl Walsh and Stephen Kenny.
Oh, jeez.
Don't even mention that fucking bollocks. Fucking shocking. The lads ran me up. Would I be interested going up to the Norway game? I said, the Stephen Kenny fucks off. I don't want to see the Aviva Stadium. Shocking.
Oh my God. Right.
Imagine getting on the bus and traveling 2 hours up to see that fucking shit now against Norway. Would you fucking fuck off, lads?
So we've got 2 votes for Big Jack. And who did you go for, Del Boy?
Me.
Kyle Walsh.
Carl Walsh. And Manny, you went for Billy Bingham. So
Yes, I did, sir.
basically,
You have to give it to me.
Jack
Yeah.
gets the job.
Hey,
luck,
Warren,
Davey.
Warren, I want to change my mind. I'm going for Kyle Walsh as well.
You're still not going to get the job, Kyle.
Oh, I tell
Warren
you.
has to be honest.
That vote has FAI written all over it, doesn't it, Del Boy? FAI
We got
written all
Carl
over it.
Walsh
I
then.
want to
as
change
our
my mind, Your
manager.
Honour. Hang on, Your Honour.
We got Carl Walsh is the manager of this United Ireland.
They weren't
football
running
team.
into the bank to get out of it.
Oh, beat the fuck, lads.
Get out of
Right,
voting
so
for
the
yourself,
team
huh?
we've got,
Oh, I tell
okay,
you.
is
There's
Jennings
a few
in
brown
goal,
flip-flops.
left back of Dennis Irwin, a centre back pairing of Paul McGrath and Mark Lawrenson, right back Pat Rice, left midfield Liam Brady, centre midfield pairing of Roy Keane and Johnny Giles, a right midfield of Norman Whiteside, and up front we've got Robbie and Georgie Best, and the manager is Carl Walsh.
And let me tell you,
What about the bench, sir?
we have to make a bench, five substitutions.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and the 5 substitutes. So the 5 substitutes. Who do you guys want on the subs bench? We've got Steve Finnan and Richard Dunn. We've got a goalkeeper as Shay Given. So you've got another. Well, you've got Shay Given. I've just written Steve Finnan and Richard Dunn down because I wouldn't forget them. But you've got goalkeeper on the bench with Shay Given. So that's 4 other positions. So you've got defenders, midfielders, and strikers. So it's up to you to have whatever players you want. But I would urge you to make sure that you get every part, the defence covered, midfield covered, and attack covered. Don't just go all forwards.
Since I'm the manager, I'm naming out my 5 substitutions straight away. We have Shay Given.
Yep.
I have Sammy McElroy.
Yep.
I've Niall Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I've Ronnie Whelan. And I have Mark Lawrence.
Right. Okay. So hold on a sec. Let me just.
And then why get the boots warmed up? You're coming on as well.
Yeah.
Carl,
Good
you
luck,
said
boys.
Niall Quinn.
Yeah, Niall Quinn, Ronnie Whelan, Mark Lawrence, Sammy McElroy, and Shay Given.
McElroy. McElroy, Quinn,
Yeah.
Mark Quinn, and who
Yeah.
are the other 2?
Ronnie Whelan and Mark Lawrence.
And Whelan and
Mark Lawrence.
Mark Lawrenson. That's what he went.
you've got Lawrence.
Sorry,
You
Lawrence.
can't have him on the bench as well.
So you'll have to pick another central defender, Kyle.
Oh, do I? Richard Dunn, eh?
Right, Richard Dunn. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, Niall, who do you want on the bench?
I had Pat Jennings. I had George Best, Richard Dunn, Ronnie Whelan, and Gary Kelly.
Well, the problem is Jennings and Best are in the first team. They can't be on the bench. You're going to have to name a couple of extras.
We've got Jennings in the team
sorry.
and George Best. So, yeah, who were the other 3, Niall?
Ray Houghton and Niall Quinn. And Who else had I gotten there? Because it was a different formation. Richard Dunn I had on my bench. Brighton, Gary Kelly and Niall Quinn. Pat Jennings was my sub keeper. But he's on there. So Packy Bonner, I suppose.
So Ray Houghton, Niall Quinn, and what were the other ones? Sorry.
Richard Dunn, Kyle already mentioned him, I think, and Gary Kelly.
Gary Kelly. And okie doke. And right. And Del Boy, who did you want to have on the bench?
Yeah, well, I went for Packy, so I'd have Packy on the bench. Big Mick, I went in central defence as well, so he didn't get in, but I'd like to him on the bench. Ray Houghton, I was saying him for right sort of midfield, attacking midfield. Frank Stapleton, him definitely up there. And then I'd probably go as well. I'd go Niall Quinn as well. We like to go attacking.
Stapleton and Niall Quinn. Did you say Niall Quinn, Del Boy?
Yeah, Niall Quinn, yeah.
So you said Ray Houghton, Frank Stapleton, Niall Quinn, Packy Bonner,
Mick McCarthy.
And Mick McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a sec. And Cole, we've had yours, haven't we? We talked about yours. Okay, Manny.
Okay, so for my bench, I've got one goalkeeper, 2 defenders, a midfielder, and a striker. So that's 5.
Okay.
Substitute goalkeeper, Packy Bonner.
Mm-hmm.
Defenders, Gary Kelly and John O'Shea.
Yeah, we haven't had him before, so let's put him on. So, O'Shea. What was the one after O'Shea?
I mentioned 3, right? Bonner, Gary Kelly, and O'Shea.
Okay, Gary Kelly, O'Shea. Yeah. Who's the next one?
Yeah, the next one is the midfielder, Sammy McElroy. And the striker, who else but Big Niall? Niall Quinn.
Okay. All right, so we're done. So I'm going to throw this in to I'm going to share it so you can see it. So here we go. This is in 11. We've got the manager of Carl Walsh. Then a strike pair of Robbie Keane and Georgie Best. Left midfield, Liam Brady, Roy Keane and Johnny Giles. Norman right side on the right midfield. Left back, Dennis Irwin. Centre back, Paul McGrath. Centre back, Mark Lawrenson. And right back, Pat Rice. And the goalkeeper was Pat Jennings. And this is the subs bench. It's a bit disorganised, but we've got Steve Finnan, Ray Houghton, Frank Stapleton, Richard Dunn, Niall Quinn, Gary Kelly, Mick McCarthy, Sammy McElroy, Packy Bonner, Whelan, McCarthy, O'Shea, and Sammy McElroy, and Shay Given. And so that's it, guys. We've cracked it. So how do you all feel about that?
We're going
You've
all
made
the
a whole
way,
squad.
all the way to win the World Cup, so we are. Under my watch, I'm going to bring glory back to this fucking country.
I'll tell you my opinion. I'd give the manager just one fucking campaign, and if he didn't, it'd be a fucking sign like that behind me, and it'd be out for his blood. It would.
You've thrown yourself into the lion's den there, Kyle.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I did.
Good luck to
I
you.
think I did.
It's a friendly.
No
Right,
fucking nothing.
Are any of you going on
That's
Friday night for the game against Norway?
I wouldn't even look at it on the fucking television here in the sitting room, Warren. Fucking shite.
Oh,
I
just
watch
And you
on
bring my
telly if
fucking
it's
socks off,
available.
open the fucking top tier of the stadium looking down at that shit. Come home.
Warren was
on you.
I was just-
Warren was about to invite you to a watch along, Kyle.
yeah, exactly. I wanted to do a watch along of you watching the match.
I'll
I
tell
wanna
you
do a
something,
watch
Warren. You
along
give me
and watch
5,000
along.
euro. You could say there's 5,000 euro to do a watch along with me, and I say keep the 5,000, Warren. Absolute fucking shit. You don't want to with that boy.
For a game like that, usually the fucking tickets will come across me all right. If I get them free, I might wander down. But see, you know me, Kyle. It's what say I'm just getting on the dart and I'm there within 40 minutes, so it's not bad for me. But
Yeah.
only if I get the tickets free, or if not, I might just go up and break into the Aviva. I don't know. I'll see. If not, I'll do a watch along, and you're all more than welcome to join me.
Is Martin Odegaard going to play?
For fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. Well, Haaland's not playing, so that's if he was playing, I would have definitely brought the young fellas down. I don't want to be really bringing them down to see fucking Odegaard. You know, they might fucking want to retire from football.
Exactly. Oh dear.
That
So what's
slur
your
on your
what's your
captain.
tips for the World Cup,
that
guys?
slur on your captain.
What's your tips for the World Cup? Who do you think's going to win it?
Brazil. No problem. Might as well give them the tournament already.
Uruguay.
Ooh.
You going for Uruguay?
Yeah, he said Uruguay. I'd say, look, I'd agree with Niall. Brazil would be pretty much favourites, but you know, I suppose throw a spanner in the works. If Belgium click, you know, I think they'd be hard beat as well. But I could see them probably getting to the semi-finals. But yeah, I can't see anyone winning other than Brazil.
Okay, doke. Right, guys. I want to. Manny, what do you think, sir?
For me, Brazil will succumb to the pressure. I don't think they'll do it. Belgium will succumb to the pressure. I don't think they'll do it. As an Englishman, this disgusts me to say this, but I think Argentina should be a shoo-in. They've got that amazing unbeaten record, Copa America champions, also the Franchi Trophy winners against Italy. And Scaloni, credit to him, has got them playing a brand of football which may not necessarily be attractive too much, but as long as you got Messi in your team, anything's possible. So Argentina for me.
Fair play.
Sure.
Okay, doke.
One Singapore fucking winners, I don't give a shit who wins it. Be listening about it for the next fucking 100 years.
I agree with Manny. I think Argentina will win it. But let's see what happens. I'm just going to go through the chats, and then when I've done that, I'm going to let you guys tell us all about your channels and where people can contact you and all that sort of carry on. Now, let me go. What have we got? All I want to know is what the chef ever done to Ronaldo. No footballer is bigger than the club. What's he talking? Does anyone know?
Ronaldo talking about the kitchen and the chefs and all.
Huh?
Ronaldo, he was saying about the kitchens and the chefs, that the chefs haven't been changed in years and all this fucking shite. Who's Ronaldo to talk about people who's in ordinary jobs making dinners for them to get a few €100 every week? Fuck off, Ronaldo.
So he made Man United sack the chef. Is that it?
He was saying that they haven't been changed, that the chefs are still there the last 20 years and all this
No,
shit.
mate, they need that boy needs to be shown the door.
Absolutely. Fucking
Yes,
And I'll
it's
dickhead.
tell you one thing: if he were in a rugby team right now, and you can agree with me on this, given the British Lions connection, those players would grab him by his collar and push him up against the wall and not let him go. Not let him go until he apologizes.
They should show him that Jim Telfer speech saying there's two types of players: real ones, and the honest one, and the dishonest one. The honest player gets up in the morning, looks at himself in the mirror, and doesn't blame referees, hotel bedrooms, rah, 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 rah. He just gets on with the job. Shocking.
Absolutely.
Craig AFC 87 says Arsenal need depth. This is the main reason expectations of a title this season are too far-fetched. One or two injuries and it can all fall away. City don't have that issue. Not, but you never know. It could happen, mate. It could. But let me say, I've got Niall in the chat, and I've never said this when he's been here before. But back in the day, I remember Liverpool one year, they were 12th in the league on New Year's Eve, right? On the old First Division. They went on this unbelievable run and ended up winning the title. Do you remember that season, Noel? I think he's froze. Is he
Yeah,
froze?
he's froze, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. Manny, your knowledge always amazes me. UTCID. Yeah,
Up the
it's
cherries in all departments.
unbelievable. It really is, mate. Manny says, at Matthew Harrison, I'm a student of the game. I try. Thank you so much, and thank you for you staying on. George Best made it. He did. Fair play to him. Craig AFC 87, Warren and the rest of the panel. Great show. As respect. Thank you, Craig, and thanks very much for your comments and everything. Craig AFC 87 says, Argentina, I'm going for to win the World Cup. And he also says England will get to the quarterfinals. Yeah, probably. Wasn't Arsenal 12 points behind Man United at one stage and we went on to win the league? Yeah, we were. I was looking at that today when I was doing the Dennis Bergkamp thing. I was working on something about Dennis Bergkamp. So
I can't wait for that show, I'll tell you that.
Huh?
I can't wait for that show. Dennis Bergkamp, fucking legend.
Yeah. So I'll let Del Boy talk to you about that one. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you shout out your social media. People can get you and your channels and whatnot. So, Del Boy, can I start with you, please, mate?
Yeah, I just want to first say, Warren, fair play to you for doing this show. I was buzzing all week for it. I'm absolutely delighted and proud, to talk about my the Irish team. I love talking about them, and especially with a lot of legends here beside me. But for you to do the slides and stuff like that, and to put this on your channel, just I want to say probably on behalf of the lads here as well, fair play to you, mate. It's not easy doing all these slides and doing all this work. Fair play to you. Really appreciate it. And you're a true legend. And you've now been issued another, like Manny has a Del Boy Irish passport. Now don't try it through any customs or anything like that, because I'm out bounced like a ping pong ball. But we'll certainly just give it to you anyway. So look, everyone can find me on Del Boy Gunner TV. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and all that shite. And please check my channel out. I do a lot with the guys here as well. I might do, if I'm not going to the match, I'll probably do a watch along or something like that for the crack. On Thursday, and all is welcome. I do fan cams as well, as you said. After most Arsenal games, and anyone's allowed to join in and have their say and give out, moan, be happy, whichever. And this Friday, then I'm hoping to do the Dennis Bergkamp chat and talk about him, his early life, starting off, and how he ended up, and where he went, and records and appearances and all sort of stuff like that. Because Dennis Bergkamp for me is probably one of my favourite ever Arsenal players, if not my favourite. And what a true legend he is. So yeah, that's what I sort of have coming up anyway. And as it says again, morning, cheers, mate, and thanks for having me on.
No, you're absolutely welcome, and it's ready to go, mate. The Dennis Bergkamp one. So fair play to you for doing that, Niall.
Cheers.
Still frozen from the looks of it.
Yeah, is he still there? No, if you
I
can
don't know if you
hear
can
us. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Sorry.
acting up or what it was.
Go on, Noel. Do you want to tell us about your channel and stuff? Ah, he's gone. See? Is he back?
It's the internet connection. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
No. Okay, let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on with you, man?
First thing I want to say is big up to you, Warren, for doing this show. I echo what Del Boy said. It was great to sit here and talk about all the great Irish legends of the game, the past, the present. And hopefully we'll have a few good ones coming up into the future. And things won't be as depressing as what they are at the moment. But how you do these shows, Warren, is just beyond me with the slides and the information. And you put in great work into it and you're passionate. And big up to you. You're one of the real ones. You're a legend in my eyes. And I appreciate every time you welcome me onto your channel. It's you'd be surprised what it does for me as, for my what's the word I'm looking for? Passion of football. It's brilliant. Manny, like I said before, big up to you. Your knowledge, your intelligence is there for everyone to see. You speak so clearly, you speak so knowledgeable. It's fascinating to listen to you. I listen to you all day long talking about any subject. Del Boy, biggest, most passionate Irish fan out of us all. Big up to you, Del Boy. Only for you, I wouldn't be here where I am today. So big up to you. I'll always remember that. And big up to Niall. Big up to Niall as well. Great sharing the screen with Niall. He had me on his show once before, and I'd like to do a few more shows with him. And thanks to everybody in the chat. Without you guys, this wouldn't be happening. So I appreciate everyone, viewers, and press the like button. Warren deserves a whole lot more. Please subscribe to him. And Manny, get this YouTube channel up and running, son. And for me, I'm after promising people I'm making a comeback. And I am making a comeback. I'm making a comeback about the lads who are doing the Dennis Bergkamp thing. I'm going to be there for that because Bergkamp is my favourite player ever. But I got the 1989 Tony Adams jersey signed by Tony Adams to me, and it's getting framed as we speak. And I'm doing a whole fucking video about that and about Tony Adams and all the rest of us. That's my next video, so keep an eye out for it. I'm making a comeback with one of the all-time great players, Tony Adams. So keep an eye out for it. Catch me on Walsh Gunner. Check me out. Thanks, lads. Big up to you all.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Carl, for coming on.
Anytime.
Manny, how can people find you, sir?
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Let me just start by saying that it was an honor to share this forum. And of course, I'm not even an Irishman, but I do enjoy, I have enjoyed watching the Irish teams play over the years. And the more I've watched them, the more I've actually come to really enjoy them, especially since whether it was Italian 90 or even USA 94, of course, no UK team made it. So I remember cheering for Jack's boys again there too. And it's just amazing how, two teams can be so different, but in many ways so similar with similar dreams and aspirations. Obviously, the fact that Irish fans are some of the best in the world, quite frankly, it makes watching their team play an absolute joy, really. And seeing them succeed really makes me happy, unless, of course, when they're playing against England. So, some divided loyalties there, but it is what it is. Big up to you, sir, Warren. Wonderful channel. Every time I see some videos of yours, the work you put in, as Kyle said, as everyone has said so far, to all of your streams, the PowerPoint slides or what have you, and the willingness you have to sort of explore footballing topics from so many years back. you know, a lot of youngsters today who have their own platforms can actually learn something or two by coming onto your channel and finding out a bit more. The only problem is, I think most of them might not even have the patience. But when you've got some old school fans like myself, Del Boy, Niall from the Upper Tier, and of course Mr. Walsh, you know, we live for this stuff and we enjoy this stuff. And there are so many things about your channel that give me nothing but the happiest of memories, and I could have a chin wag with you on these topics for as long as I possibly can. I wouldn't call myself knowledgeable. I'm just a student of the game. I love reading about the history, and I think obviously if there are some things which stick in my mind, they stick in my mind for a reason. So it is what it is. Del Boy, what can I say? He was the one who sort of, you know, gave me the opportunity to come onto YouTube and make a sort of name for myself, if you will. And he's always been willing to have me on, always willing to hear what I have to say. Never been one to, you know, want to try and step on his toes in any way, just contribute to the discussion. But you can tell whenever I come on, when I come on his show, how happy he is to see me, and the feeling is absolutely mutual. And all I can say is that if it weren't for you, after some difficult times that I've been through over the past year, to come through all of that and be a lot happier in 2022, you're one of those people, along with yourself, Warren, of course, obviously you, Kyle. Thank you very much indeed for everything you do, and I'm looking forward to making sure that we continue that connection. Mr. Walsh, unmistakable, shooting from the hip, speaking from the heart. Whatever's on your mind, it always comes out. But there's no doubting the passion you have. There's no doubting the heart you have. And I know that you might be 6'3", built like an absolute shed house, as you told me. But I know that you're also going to be an amazing company over a pint or two. I need to come over to Wexford and definitely catch up with you soon. And as for the channel, I will get back to all of you on that. And Niall from the Upper Tier, wonderful to meet you. I'm sorry about the internet connection, but I will shout out your channel as well. Please check him out on the Upper Tier. The clue's in the name. You can find him on YouTube and all social media. Wonderful to speak to you for the first time and hear your perspective on everything. And I hope we can do this again in the future, hopefully with a better internet connection from your side. As for me, you can find me on social media. On Twitter, I'm Thangadurai 1981. That's my surname and my year of birth. You can catch me on Instagram at Manny Thangadurai 1981, which is my full name and my year of birth. And you can catch me on several other channels on YouTube. I'm on Del Boys very frequently. A few other channels, S. Featley TV, Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, Oris Talks Football, Coach's Corner, of course, with young Hanno Trollope. We've done some watch-alongs for the cricket games. We also do some watch-alongs for some EPL games, obviously, English Premier League. We might be doing something for the World Cup, I don't know. And a huge, huge shout out to these wonderful people from this channel, up the cherries in all departments. Craig Beasley, Matthew Harrison, Sam Harrison. You've joined the chat today. Thank you, gents, so much. Please check them out. Please subscribe to them. They're a Bournemouth fan channel, but they have some of the most amazing content you'll ever see. Interviews with players from past and present, even referees. All these personalities connected to the game, connected to Bournemouth, AFC Bournemouth, of course, and their call-in shows are also good fun. They let on everyone and anyone who'd like to have a debate. It's been wonderful getting to know them, and I'm really happy. And again, as for the channel, I'm going to try my best to see if I can do something maybe after the World Cup. Didn't want to do anything. I decided not to do anything now because I didn't want to take traction away, but regardless of whether I do get the channel up and running, I will continue to be active and say my piece and do whatever I can do. And all I can say is that anytime I get to do this, it's something that makes me really happy to be a part of a panel, to be a part of a group, say what I want to say, let the chips fall where they may, talking about football with like-minded fans of all ages. It's not about being tribal and, just engaging in mindless banter. It's about forums like this, debating the issues, debating about certain players, coming to a resolution and saying, you know what, all is well. And that is why I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity tonight. Thank you so much to Warren Bartholomew from Warren's Team Talk. This was a wonderful forum. Thank you also so much indeed for having me on. I realize I've had to talk my tongue off, but I've just had a lot to say, and hopefully most of it is not waffle. So enjoy your Tuesday night. Be safe, be happy, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And for now, I'm out.
Thank you very much, Manny. Right, Niall, do you want to shout out your channel and let us all know where we can find you and things like that, because you've got an amazing channel there, mate. I absolutely love it. So over to you, sir.
And once again, he's frozen.
Yeah, I don't. Connection's gone to crap.
Oh, here he is. No, I don't think it's going to work, is it?
Gone.
Completely gone. But we shouted it out for you. The upper tier.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, look, unfortunately, we weren't able to get Niall to tell us about his channel, but he has got a brilliant channel. It's called The Upper Tier. He has 2 podcasts he does. One is called The Upper Tier, and on that he does reviews and previews for the Premier League matches. He also does this thing called the Shankly Sessions, where he looks at all of Liverpool's match. He does previews and reviews for their games because he's a massive Liverpool fan. And he has people coming on his channel on a regular basis. There's one guy called Dazzler, who's absolutely superb. And then there's another show called The Fantasy Chancer, I think I'm right in saying. And it's like a fantasy football show. So he's on most of the social media platforms as well. You can find him on Instagram. He's on Twitter. And if you just type in The Upper Tier, you'll find him. And that's the name of his YouTube channel. So please go and check out his channel, put likes on all his videos and stuff like that. And just want to thank everyone again. There's a few last chats I want to put in. So we have Matthew Harrison, entertaining show, guys. Thanks a lot. I learned a lot. You're absolutely welcome, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thanks very much for tuning in. It was lovely to see you. Craig AFC 87. Question: What is your favourite ever World Cup goal? Diego Maradona against England, 100%, mate. The second goal was just unbelievable. The way he just dribbled around practically the whole England team was just incredible. What an amazing goal. I don't know what you guys think.
Best World Cup ever, best World Cup goal of all time.
Yeah, me. That's what I think too. Del Boy?
Yeah, that's definitely up there. And I suppose since we're doing an Irish show, I'll just say David O'Leary's penalty in the Roma against Romania.
Fair play. Niall, can you hear us? No. And Manny?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't think you can hear me, though. Keep on freezing. Gone again. Just.
Mate, I'm sorry about this. I feel really embarrassed. Manny?
Some really good shouts. I'm really torn at the moment. Since this is an Irish based forum, I am going to come up with an Irish treat. Robbie Keane versus Germany, 2002.
Fair play. My favourite ever Irish goal, I have to say, is Ray Houghton against Italy in the World Cup in America. Absolutely loved it.
My favourite Irish goal was in the World Cup. It was Rodney Whelan's goal against Russia with the bicycle kicks from outside the box.
I remember Ray Houghton, who was being interviewed, all right, before the Euros in '88. And he turned around and he said, "We've just won the double, so we've got to go out and beat England." 88, because he was, as you know, he's a massive, like me, he's a massive Celtic fan. And he's a Glaswegian, Scottish Catholic, and he chose to play for the Republic instead of for Scotland. I've since found out there was a few players that had Scottish players that ended up playing for the Republic. And there was some issues with the selections of players and whatnot. So that's why they went over to Ireland. So fair play to them. Niall, are you there, buddy? No. Okay.
No.
I'll ask him the question in the chat. Maybe he'll reply.
Dennis Craig AFC 87 says Dennis Bergkamp is the best number 10 I've ever seen in an Arsenal shirt. Yeah,
he's the best.
Arguing out of me for that.
He's the best.
Him and Liam Brady playing in the same team, lads.
He's the best player ever to play for Arsenal in an Arsenal jersey. Full stop.
Yeah. Bergkamp goal against Argentina in the World Cup. That touch and finish was similar to the one he did against Leicester for his hat-trick. Yeah, it was, mate. 100% right. It wasn't as good as the goal that I scored in my... I played for the school, mind. It wasn't too shabby. Only joking. And last chat, Manny says, at Matthew Harrison, cheers and thanks again. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to finish it there because it's nearly 10:30 and I'm starting to lose the will to live. So I want to thank you all for coming in to the show, everyone in the chat for your comments. Thank everyone who's going to watch this on playback as well. Thanks very much for putting a like on the video. If you can make sure you can do that before you leave, that would be absolutely superb. What's this? Manny, Carl. Connection gone to shit. Okay. No, I was just saying he's had some issues with his connection. So,
yeah.
Never mind. Anyway, yeah, but thanks to the whole panel for getting involved in this. I absolutely loved it. And some point in the future, like I said, I want to do a British and Irish Lions football show where we try and pick a UK and Ireland team. That will really be interesting.
I think you're going to have to go beyond 22 or even 26 for that, sir. Maybe 30.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, guys, I'm going to finish it now, but thanks to all of you for coming on and helping me do this. It was absolutely superb and I absolutely loved it. So thanks a lot. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. Like I said, please remember to look after your family, your loved ones, and share some love and kindness around the world. And Niall, if you're watching, I don't know what happened, but thanks very much, mate. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care, buddy. Cheers, everyone. Good night, and thanks very much.